Generation 1 was the first ever generation of Pokemon and featured the first 151 Pokemon that we currently have, of course included with the other hundreds that we do have. Either way, it was the kickstart of Pokemon, and I still remember as a kid watching the first episodes of Ash's adventures unfold as he embarked on the Kanto region. And also at the same time, taking on the challenges of my own of becoming a trainer myself with Pokemon Red and Blue. And of course with Generation 1 there also came a lot of secrets and mysteries, as well as loads of things that just grown on us until this day, and things we still haven't figured out till this day. And so I thought today I would count down 10 facts that you might not have known about Generation 1. Please do remember though that this list may contain things you probably might know, but that does not mean that everybody knows these facts. Some people might not know them, so please, if you do know them, don't go all crazy in the comments being like, I already knew this, because the whole point of this list is just to introduce some facts that people might not have known. Either way, we're gonna kick it off with number 10 right away. Number 10. Did you know that Arcanine's species name is the legendary Pokemon, even though it is not a legendary Pokemon? Originally, it was intended that Arcanine was going to be a legendary Pokemon alongside the three bird trios, being Moltres, Articuno, and Zapdos, but it was later on dropped. If you actually watch the second episode of the first season of Pokemon, Ash actually looks at a stone plate that features an Arcanine alike Pokemon that is legendary. Some say that this is supposed to be Entei, but Entei was not even made until later on in Generation 2. Number 9. Did you know that in Pokemon Red and Blue, Koffing has its skull on its bottom part, but in the Japanese versions, the cross was on its head? I'm unsure about the change, but with the fact that Koffings are essentially just gusts of smoke and are rumored to have been created by Team Rocket, this shouldn't be a surprise, as essentially they are genetically modified and, you know, just essentially toxic waste. But I don't know, I feel like that's just kind of the extra feature of having different versions was pretty nice, and maybe, you know, having different Koffings that just have the crosses on different areas would make sense, but then again, we haven't seen it in newer games, and we might not ever see that, but it was still pretty cool to see that there was this kind of change between the Japanese and English version. Either way, let's go to the next one. Number 8. In Generation 1, there were tons of trainers, but out of all those trainers, the only ones that actually had more than 6 Pokemons were Rivals, Gym Leaders, and the Elite Four, and they were the only ones who actually ever had a full team of 6. But there is one single exception, and that is the local fisherman that happened to have a total of 6 Magikarps on his team. I mean, okay, that's nice. Magikarp is beautiful. Number 7. Did you know that in Generation 1, if your Pokemon managed to successfully eliminate or make an enemy Pokemon faint by using the move Hyper Beam, your Pokemon did not actually have to recharge afterwards like in all the future games, where after using the ability, your Pokemon needs to take a turn off to kind of just recuperate. Number 6. Did you know that all the cities in Generation 1 were all named after colors, and Pallet Town being the name of their color pattern? Here are the city names, and if you actually search up these colors, they all match really perfectly. You got Cinnabar being a color, Viridian City, also Viridian being a color, Pewter being a color, Cerulean being a color, Vermilion City, also a color, Lavender is a color, Celadon a color, Fusion is also a color, and Saffron is a color. And of course you do have also the color Indigo for the Indigo Plateau. But other than that, an interesting other thing that you got yourself is actually Pallet Town, which is essentially a palette. A palette is what kind of holds colors or has several colors in it, which is kind of interesting if I'm going to be honest. And if you did not know, this other fact is that when the Game Boy Color came out, the developers of Pokemon Red and Blue, the Game Freak essentially, went back and actually added these colors to match to each one of the cities. And if you go back and play them, you'll actually see this. Number 5. Did you also know that in Red and Blue, Brock actually gives you the Boulder Badge while you're still in the battle with him, while everybody else gives it to you after the battle being completed in the field screen, which is kind of interesting. Number 4. Did you know that in Generation 1 there was only 8 overworld Pokemon sprites? These were the bird, essentially Pidgey, Clefairy for certain Pokemon, Rhydon for certain Pokemon, Seal for certain water-type Pokemon, the plant for certain, grass-type Pokemon, a bug for bug-type Pokemon, Pokeball, essentially for like Electrode and whatnot, and Ponyta for certain Pokemon as well, which is kind of interesting when you think about it, compared to nowadays where we have an overworld sprite for every single Pokemon individually. Number 3. Did you know that back in Generation 1, Rowlit was the only Elite Four member in Red and Blue to not have 2 of the same Pokemon, while everybody else actually had 2 of the same. Lance, for example, had 2 Dragonese. Number 2. Did you know that the move Waterfall was first introduced as an HM in Gold and Silver, but it was a naturally learned move by Goldeen in Red and Blue? Number 1. And finally, did you know that in Red and Blue, Pokemon did not heal when placed in PCs, unlike all the other games? But that's going to be it for this video. If you did enjoy the video, please do drop a like, and also do subscribe for future countdown videos as well as fact videos and theory content. Either way, my name has been RuffledRowlit. If you want to tell me in the comments below which one of these facts you might have known and might not have known, I would love to know, and either way, that's going to be it. Do subscribe for future videos. I'll catch you trains the next time. Bye bye.